Hi, my name is Danny. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at r slash am I the butthole. So the first story, am I the butthole for calling my brother's girlfriend a gold digger after she Googled the cost of our Christmas gifts? My brother James has a girlfriend Lindsay who he's been dating for 7 months. He decided to bring her to Christmas at my house, stay over Christmas Eve, and leave the next day after lunch. I'd met Lindsay at drinks before this, and she seemed nice. When they arrived, Lindsay walked in and complimented my decorations, a large tree in the foyer, and asked how much they cost. I was a bit surprised by the question, but I just said, more than I'd like, and moved on. Throughout the evening, she asked several questions centered around money. She asked my husband how much he paid for our house, my stepdad how much money he made in his previous job, how much my watch cost. She even Googled one of our art pieces to see how much it sold for and started talking about how crazy it was that we spent that much, which frankly was very uncomfortable. My stepdad pulled my brother aside and asked if there was a problem, but my brother just said it was normal for her to do that. But he did say he'd speak to her about it. On Christmas morning, we all gathered round to open presents, and thankfully, Lindsay didn't say anything untoward. So I figured James had spoken to her about the intrusive questions. However, at lunch we were talking about plans for January, and Lindsay loudly said she didn't know how we could afford to do anything in January, as she added up the total we'd spent on gifts and then proudly proclaimed the total amount. The whole table went silent, and honestly, I was equal parts shocked and annoyed that someone could be so ignorant. I looked at Lindsay and said, "You are the world's most diligent gold digger. Seriously, would you like to be the family accountant since you're already tracking expenses?" Lindsay stuttered out an apology and tried to explain, but my stepdad just changed the conversation and we moved on. She was mercifully quiet for the rest of dinner. After they left, my brother messaged me saying I'd really upset Lindsay and was out of line with what I said. I argued that he said he'd talk to her and he clearly didn't, not that someone should have needed guidance to know how crass her comments were. He's saying I owe both of them an apology, but I think Lindsay's behavior was disgraceful. My parents say Lindsay was wrong, but I probably should have said something in private or they could have, and I shouldn't have said something in front of everyone. Am I the butthole? Yes, I do think you're the butthole. Lindsay may have been out of line. Absolutely. Some people aren't comfortable talking about money, and keeping diligent track of all of the expenses is a little unnecessary, and she should have been able to pick up that you guys weren't comfortable to speak about it. But publicly calling her a gold digger at the table, I think went a little too far. Let's see what Reddit thinks. Looks like Reddit does not agree with me. A lot of people are saying not the butthole, that the brother's girlfriend is out of line, but I have to disagree. She might have been out of line, but I don't think that's an excuse to publicly call her a gold digger when she didn't express any interest in gaining that money for herself. She may have been a little concerned about how people were spending their money, a little bit preachy, a little annoying, not a gold digger. And I do think OP crossed the line a little bit. This comment says, not the butthole, and I really don't get the YTAs. It is so unbelievably rude to make so many comments about money. I could see maybe one or two offhanded comments, but to fixate on money so much that you tally up how much money was spent on Christmas presents and then announce it to the whole family, don't apologize to your brother. Why should you? His girlfriend came into your house for Christmas and immediately started questioning you about money and practically appraising everything in your house. She should be apologizing to you, and your brother should be apologizing on her behalf. If someone is rude to you, you're allowed to defend yourself and shut them down, which is what you did. Maybe next time she'll learn to keep her mouth shut and not constantly talk about money. I still think this is a little bit harsh. I don't think that the girlfriend meant anything ill by it. Yes, the brother probably should have talked to her, but I don't think that OP handled this gracefully. Am I the butthole for reminding my stepmother how she really met my father? I'm a 21-year-old male, and I was at my father's house for Christmas this year. Most of my paternal family was there, but the only people relevant to this situation are my dad, who's 49, his wife Sasha, who's 39, and my sister Jasmine, who's 18, and her boyfriend Mike, 21. Jasmine is my only full sister, and we're extremely close. She's currently 3 months pregnant, which obviously isn't ideal because she's only 18, but I'm going to support her regardless. I do not like her boyfriend, but he's good to her and able to provide for her and the baby. Sasha has always hated Jasmine. No one has any idea why, and my dad prefers to ignore it. After the Christmas dinner, Jasmine, Mike, my dad, Sasha, and I were clearly up when Jasmine suddenly felt nauseous and went to sit down. Mike went with her. This is when Sasha decided to begin talking badly about her for being a pregnant teen and for being unmarried. She then started saying that she thinks that Jasmine got pregnant on purpose because Mike's family is wealthy, which doesn't make any sense since our family is well off too. Sasha is known for saying horrible things to get a reaction, so I was ignoring her, and so was my dad, until she asked me how I felt about my younger sister having a child with someone older than me, literally only 4 months older than me. At this point, I was so done, I stopped washing the dishes, and I told her to shut her mouth because she broke up my parents' marriage. That's when my father finally decided to get involved, but I went on and reminded Sasha of the fact that when Jasmine was little, she was in a hospital a lot, and Sasha, was one of the nurses that cared for her on the ward, and she began an affair with my father. I also decided to remind her of how her eldest child, my half sister, was born 8 months after she married my dad. The situation devolved into shouting, and turns out a lot of my paternal family didn't know the truth about how my dad and Sasha met. I ended up leaving, and so did Jasmine and Mike and a few other people. Now my dad is demanding that I apologize to his wife for embarrassing her and making her look bad in front of the whole family. Now, I want an unbiased view on whether or not I'm the butthole for rising to my stepmother's bait, her insults to Jasmine, and going lower by exposing her. Am I the butthole? No. Your stepmother was insulting your sister, and honestly, if you don't want to be shamed for being an affair partner, then don't be an affair partner. You brought this on yourself. Yeah, looks like Reddit agrees with me. Not the butthole. She has no room to talk about your sister being a pregnant teen when she's a homewrecker. I bring the same stuff up to my father's wife. I'll never refer to her as stepmother, since she's only 2 years older than me, when she starts pointing out flaws in others. Sometimes you just have to put them in their place and never apologize for telling the truth. Yeah, I agree. Am I the butthole for removing the door to my son's room indefinitely? Yesterday, while I was making lunch, I heard a really loud sound, as if the ceiling was falling or a bookshelf had fallen. My husband, who's 41, and my daughter, 17, were out. The only other person in the house was my son, who's 16. I was pretty sure he was in his room, which is at the opposite end of the house from the kitchen. So while making my way there, I checked every room and everything seemed in order. I knocked on my son's door and called his name, no answer. I must have knocked or called 3 times before trying to open the door, which was locked. At this point, I was getting really freaked out, thinking that maybe he tipped his wardrobe or bookshelf and it had fallen over him and he was passed out on the floor. I was basically screaming his name, no answer. I have no idea how I did it. I just threw myself at the door and it broke. Now, clearly, the door was already weak. I'm thinking termite, but yeah, it broke. My son was fine. He was freaked out about the door, but fine. The sound was his TV with the volume at the max, apparently. And he didn't answer me calling because he didn't want me bothering his movie. His words were, "You were screaming like a harpy and it was annoying. I was trying to watch the movie. Fix the door." I said no, I wasn't going to fix it, since to fix it, I would have to buy a new door and doors are expensive. And as soon as his dad got home, he would remove the door entirely as it was too broken to just stay there. He got really mad, said it's his right to have a door, he deserves privacy. I said he had a door, and while I was the one who broke it, it was a consequence of his actions, so if he wanted a door, he would have to buy it. I know he doesn't have the money for it right now. Until then, no door. He can change in the bathroom. He said F you, I said he was grounded. Am I the butthole about the door? My husband is fine with it, says I only know how scared I was, so only I can know the appropriate punishment. I'm now terrified that if anything happens where we really need to reach my son, we won't be able to. But I've calmed down since, and I'm wondering if maybe I'm the butthole. Yes, I do think you're the butthole for removing your son's door. 16-year-olds need privacy. They do. And not just in the bathroom. He still needs to be punished. It's not okay to talk to your parents like that. He needs to understand that this is still a big deal, but I don't think that taking away his door permanently is the right solution. Looking at the comments, it doesn't seem like Reddit is agreeing with me. A lot of the people are saying not the butthole, but also a lot of these not the butthole judgments are saying to fix the door and remove the TV, which is not the question. The question is, would I be the butthole for removing his door? And I'm saying yes. So I don't think that these judgments are quite in line with the question. I agree with the spirit, but I also think that while the kid deserves punishment, he also deserves a door. Am I the butthole for announcing our pregnancy at Christmas, knowing my sister in law has had miscarriages? My brother and his wife have been trying to get pregnant, but unfortunately, she's had 6 miscarriages. That sucks, I know, I'm not discounting that at all. That being said, she's a center of attention kind of person. She will shit talk other people all day long and try to make herself look like the best person in the room. If anyone else gets attention, she tries to take it away from them, usually by putting them down verbally or by getting another dog or cat. Most of the animals she has were obtained right after people she knew got pregnant. Well, wife and I got pregnant, discussed at length how we should approach this, keeping my sister-in-law in mind was the main topic of conversation. We didn't want to upset her, but we also didn't feel like it was right to let her dictate our actions and make it impossible to celebrate the life we're creating. So we made t-shirts announcing the pregnancy. Not gloating it, just announcing it. Christmas time, we come over to my mom's place, do present exchange, then change shirts. My mother was very happy, but I could see the look on my sister-in-law's face, upset. She didn't say anything and just shut herself in the bathroom, then left early later on in the day. Next day, she sends this message to my wife. To say I'm disappointed is an understatement. We've had conversations about how hard infertility is during the holidays and how hard and debilitating it is. My husband and I have lost 6 babies. 6. We have 6 dead children. Springing your pregnant on my husband and I like that was uncalled for and completely ruined not only mine but my husband's Christmas. You could have sent me a heads up text about this so we had time to process this. And if your excuse is, oh, I didn't want to ruin the surprise for mom, you're wrong. It's a completely invalid fear, because I would never ruin a surprise like that. Not only that, but you also saw how that affected me, and you wouldn't stop talking about it. You're excited, sure, but read the room. I can't tell you how much that damaged our relationship, and honestly, I don't know how many holidays I'm going to be there for now because of what you did. What you did was completely selfish and careless. It showed me you really don't care about me. And honestly, had we gotten a heads up text, I'd be happy for you. But right now, I'm not. You both ruined Christmas for us. I don't know why you thought that was such a good idea. You also had an entire hour to do it before we got there. I had to leave early because I couldn't stand being there for another minute in a house that I didn't feel loved in. The only times we talked about this was when my family was asking questions, due date, gender, etc. It's not like we were talking about it throughout the day. Am I the butthole, or are we the buttholes, for having decided to do the pregnancy announcement anyways? You made t-shirts? Making t-shirts was a little over the top, and yes, it was in your face. I think that's where you went a little too far. The sister-in-law does not specifically mention the t-shirts, but having it constantly in her face is not a very kind thing to do. She's right, you could have given her a heads up text. Who knows if that actually would have worked? I can't speak for her. It could have been a polite thing to do, though. So while you can't let her miscarriages prevent you from being happy with your pregnancy and excited about it, you definitely could have been gentler about it. So I'd say you're a little bit of a butthole. Not a lot, but you could have handled it better. Looks like Reddit is a little split on this. Top comment gives this OP not the butthole. They say not the butthole and wow, sister-in-law needs severe therapy. Like severe. All of her behavior screams unhinged. I feel bad for her, but that's a lot of trauma dumping to aggressively hostile text someone about 6 dead children. That's disturbing to hear that, and she definitely wouldn't have been happy for you if you texted her before Christmas. It just would have been a different reason she was upset. Because it's not about the timing or the heads up, it's just that you guys are pregnant and she's not. I hope you can encourage your brother to get her help. Congrats on your baby. Yes, I agree that texting someone 6 dead children is a bit much, but also she has 6 dead children. It's something horrible that she's gone through, and it's something that you didn't seem to be very conscious of or gracious about. And this person is assuming that they wouldn't have been able to be happy for them if they had gotten a heads up. We really don't know. So the majority of people on here are saying that they're the butthole, but the top 2 comments are not the butthole and everyone sucks here. So it's a little bit of a debate. But overall, I still think that they are a little bit of a butthole. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Give it a like if you liked it, subscribe if you want, and I'll see you next time. Bye.